everyone, today we're going to start our notes. So I know this is the first time we're doing Flip Classroom, so just quick reminders. If you miss something, it's a video, you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can look at it again. So yeah, that's basically it. We're going to start with Unit 1A, Day 1, Squares and Square Roots. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is start with our vocab. We have perfect squares. So perfect squares are a little bit, they're things, I guess I'll say. Let's just go ahead and get into this definition. So perfect squares, the way we would define it is the product of a number multiplied by itself. So it is the result that you get when you multiply a number by itself. So 4 times 4 gives you 16. 16 is a perfect square. Okay? A square root is a value that you get when multiplied by itself gives the number. I know it's very confusing. There's not a great definition for this. So the square root is basically it's an operation that you're doing to figure out what number got multiplied by itself to create this number. Okay? So, for example, if you're doing the square root of 100, the square root of 100 is 10 because 10 times 10 gives you that 100. Okay? A radical is the mathematical symbol used to represent square roots. So it's that little like check box thing that you see over a number, and you'll see it throughout this whole note packet. And then lastly, consecutive numbers. Consecutive numbers are the ones that follow one right after another. So 1 and 2 are consecutive numbers. 3 and 4 are consecutive numbers. 1 and 3 are consecutive odd numbers. 2 and 4 are consecutive odd numbers. Okay? They are going to come right after each other when you do that list. Okay? Now, finding perfect squares. To find a perfect square, you must multiply a number by itself. That's it. All you have to do is just multiply a number by itself. And that result that you get is going to be your perfect square. So here's some examples. We'll do 1 through 10 together. Okay? The base is 1. So I'm going to square it, meaning I'm going to put an exponent of 2 on it. That's going to help me find my perfect square when I square something. Okay? What that really means is I'm multiplying the number by itself. That base is going to get multiplied by itself. 1 times 1, so the perfect square is 1. Okay? We're going to do it with 2. I'm going to square it, and then which really means I'm doing 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 is your perfect square. 3 squared, and then 3 times 3. That gives me 9. 9 is my perfect square. Most of these you probably already know. You might have memorized them, and that's okay. I still would like you to write these down, though. Okay? Just in case something happens and your brain forgets it, we have it written down. Okay? 4, we're going to do 4 squared, and then 4 times 4, which gives us 16, so 16 is a perfect square. 5 means we're going to do 5 squared, which means we're doing 5 times 5, which gives us 25. Okay? 6 means we're doing 6 squared, which means 6 times 6, and gives us 36. 7, which means we're going to do 7 squared, which means we're doing 7 times 7, which gives us 49. 8 is 8 squared. 8 times 8 gives us 64. 9 means we're doing 9 squared, which is 9 times 9, which gives us 81. Oh, and then I gotta move this little guy. I'm gonna move it up here. The last one is 10, so we do 10 squared. 10 times 10 is 100. Okay? Now here's your first try on your own. You're gonna go ahead and fill in this table the exact same way, we just have bigger numbers. Okay? And if you need to use a calculator, that's totally fine. I'd rather you use a calculator to check to make sure you got it right than try to guess using mental math. Okay? If you want to try and guess on your own first and then use a calculator to check, That's okay. Alright? But you're going to go through and do the exact same thing. You're going to fill in all the blanks and do the exact same thing. We will go over this try on your own next class. Okay? This is one of the ones we're going to check to make sure it's complete. Alright, if you want to pause the video so you can complete it now, you can. You can come back to it at the end of the video. Just make sure you don't forget about it. Okay? But we're going to go ahead and move on. Oh goodness, this little recorder thing is going to go everywhere today. Alright, finding square roots. When you are finding the square root of number, you are trying to find the number that was multiplied to create the number that's under the radical. Okay? Now, in your calculator, there is a little button that you can press. So what you would do is you would type the number first under the radical. So these are the calculators we have in class. These are most 4-function calculators work like this. Your phone works like this. Okay? So if you need to use your phone as a calculator when you're at home, that's totally fine. You type the number under the radical first, and then you're going to press the little button, and that will square root it. Okay? So here we're going to find the square roots of the following numbers. So in the calculator, you would just go ahead and type 49, and then press the button with the square root on it. You get 7. Okay? Now we're going to do 169. I'm going to type that in first, press the little square root button. I get 13. 576. So actually, these guys, you might be able to do without using a calculator because they were in your table that you filled in. Okay? This guy was not. So you're probably going to have to use a calculator for it. Or you could always like multiply stuff together. But calculator is probably a lot easier. So 576, and then the little square root button gives you 24. Here's your next try on your own. You're going to try these 3, okay? And feel free to use a calculator. But you're going to go ahead and try these 3 now. You can pause the video, come back to it. It's up to you. We're going to go ahead and move on then. Estimating square roots. So we estimate square roots when it's not going to be that nice pretty number, okay? To estimate square roots, we actually find the 2 consecutive whole numbers it lies between. So we're not going to give a decimal for it. We're going to give the 2 whole numbers that square root is going to be between, okay? And make sure you notice it's consecutive whole numbers, not just 2 whole numbers. They have to be one right after another. So like it can be between 3 and 4. It can be between 17 and 18. Those are 2 consecutive whole numbers. Okay? There's 2 methods that you can do for this. Alright? Example 1. Sorry, not example 1. Method 1. This is example 3. We're going to use perfect squares to figure this out. Okay? So, example 3, we need to find between which 2 consecutive whole numbers does the square root of 15 lie. So the way that we do this is actually we look at the number under the radical, the 15. We're going to see which 2 perfect squares 15 goes between. Alright? So we have the square root of 15. We're going to find the perfect squares that are right before 15 and right after 16. So if we look at our table again, the perfect square that's right before the number 15 isn't 14. 14 is not a perfect square. It's actually 9. Okay? And the one that's right after it is 16. So 9 and 16 are the perfect squares that surround 15. And if we take the square root of these 2 perfect squares, we can find the numbers that it's between. So, square root of 15 would be between 3 and 4. Alright? Another way to do this is using your calculator. Okay? So, in your calculator, you would just go ahead and do the consecutive, we're trying to find the 2 consecutive numbers between the square root of 174, between which 2 whole numbers does it lie? Wow. So what we do is we actually find the square root of 174, and we put it in the calculator. So we do 174, and the square root button. What we get is about 13.19. Okay? That's the exact thing. But it's not a whole number, so we can't use it. So we're going to find which 2 whole numbers 13.191 is between, and then that's going to be our answer. So, if you think about the number line, this decimal would fall somewhere between 13 and 14. Okay, so that means the square root of 174 is between 13 and 14, and that's what you'd write. The last thing you could do, very similar to a scientific calculator, but if you were going to use an online calculator. So I'm going to show you the Desmos that we did in class a little bit. I'm going to show you what you can do. So here's Desmos. I'm going to make it big. To put this in Desmos, okay, it's a little bit different. You actually hit the square root button first, and then you're going to type in the number. And I totally forgot the number. Okay, so part B for the Desmos online calculator, we would do the square root of 97. So going back there, I'm going to type, I did the square root first, just like how you would see it. And then under it, I'm going to type 97. And the answer is right here, 9.8488578 or 02, whatever. It's a really long decimal, okay? Just like with the scientific calculator, we're going to find which two numbers this decimal falls between. Okay, so going back to our notes, to make it big again. On Desmos, we found out that it was about 9.849. Okay, that number falls between 9 and 10. And the way you can tell that is take the number that's in the front, that's your first number, 9, and then add 1 to it. Okay? Those are your two numbers. So because the decimal falls between 9 and 10, the square root also falls between 9 and 10. Okay? So you guys are going to try this on your own. There are 3 things. You can use any method you want. You can use a scientific calculator, like an actual physical calculator. You can use Desmos. Or you can go ahead and use the perfect squares. It's up to you. Now there are 3 examples. It might not be a bad idea for you to try one of each method. Okay? Do me a favor and label which method you used, just so when you refer back to it, you're good to go. Okay? So that's it for the video. If you have any questions, please write them down. Otherwise, we'll go over the try on your own next class, and we'll answer any questions that you guys have. Okay? Hope you liked your first video. See you later.